Hello, ladies and gentlemen, everybody. Welcome back to Discombobulated. I say this a lot, but today is a very, very, very special guest. I have known my guest longer than almost, I would sincerely anybody, known you since kindergarten.
Yeah.
She is amazing, singer-songwriter, so fucking awesome. Tara Lynn Pfister, everybody. Put your hands together for her. Hello. I always say put your hands together because we're used to doing live shows. I'm still good. Even it's been a year, I'm getting used to this. Yeah, if I'm lucky, it would be nice. But yeah, I've known you for so long. How have you been?
Been good. Been working hard. Yeah.
We just honestly had like the conversation that could have been the whole podcast because we just hung out as soon as I got here, which was awesome. Yeah, as soon as we did that, I was like, "Do you want to do the podcast?" Like 3 hours later, she's like, "I guess so. Let's go."
Just turn them on. Turn the mics on.
No, I've known you. Yeah, I've known you since kindergarten, and we can talk about all of that in a little bit. But I do want to start up top. At least get into your music, what you're working on, and what you're doing.
Nice.
Yes. Because I do love that. I'm so pumped for you because we're like the only people that still from like growing up that I feel like, I think I saw that Rudy Brynek, I don't know if you're allowed to say names, but like he's in like a reggae band or something.
Yeah, he does something. He was in LA for a while.
Yeah.
And it was like, Facebook. It was one of those things where he popped up on my Facebook and I was like, good for you, Rudy. Yeah. Because I remember he played the Star Spangled Banner or something or like some patriotic song. Maybe it's like My Country 'Tis of Thee, but he played something on the piano when we were in like 8th grade. And I just remember being like, what the fuck?
Isn't that so funny?
Where did this come from?
And when you have that, that's your core memory of him. Like when you think of Rudy, you always think of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you. When I think of Rudy Brynek, remember the first time when we were in kindergarten when we had cicadas when they like covered our school? I swear to God, my memory of him is running. They chased him, and he's like, "Oh!" And he's like the tall. At this point, he's as tall as a
gangly. Yeah,
he was so
he was
tall.
like a gazelle.
And he just goes, "Oh!" And he was running from him, and that's like every time I think of Rudy.
You know what I think of? Mary Sue Kiso got one in her shirt. And Mrs. our gym teacher who ended up having like 4 last names by the time we graduated.
Shout out to how many shout outs we're going to have of people that no one knows. You could, if someone should just go to the school, there's a way to get the yearbook. You can put in pictures. Oh my God. She got one in her shirt and she like freaked out.
And our teacher,
you had to tuck your shirt in at Catholic school.
And we had those jumpers on, so it was like double stacked. And she legitimately
and it couldn't have happened to a worse person because I remember she had to get put sunscreen on before we went into like second period, like between classes, like it's sunnier in the hallways. Dude, remember, and sunblock isn't weird, but when you're not at the beach and you watch a kid getting it put on, you're like, is she dying? I always thought she was like more frail than all of us. Yeah, and then she gets a cicada. I thought it would have just made her evaporate.
It kind of did. I think she did leave her body.
Holy fuck. That is, sorry. I can't even get over how funny that is. I was like, hey, let's talk about the, did you hear that too?
Yeah.
I thought that was like a thunderstorm.
Are they bombing? I think they're bombing the whatever over there. They're building new buildings.
Oh, that's cool. They can bomb it.
Yeah, they're just bombing, you know.
There's just a bomb.
2024, baby.
That's so funny to be on a podcast and be like, what was that? It's just a bomb? Okay, and we're back. That actually probably helps sync up the podcast.
I found the explosion.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, so let me tell you. So we're in Nashville right now. I've been here this is going to be my 12th year in Nashville.
That's crazy.
Which is wild.
How old were you when you moved here?
I had just turned 21.
That's like the way. Yeah, that's the only crazier way to be like if you did it like in kindergarten. Like if I never met you, you're like you just walked here. They're like, where'd she go? They're like, she really loves guitar.
Yeah, she's in Nashville. I don't know.
Yeah. So you went like right when you like as soon as you
turned 21? So I
did you have a job? Did you have anything set up?
I graduated and I was working at the Ford dealership, Dave Sinclair Ford. And,
shout out Dave. I've seen those commercials. What was his like? Did he have a slogan? It's like trust him. Sinclair.
No, it was just like Sinclair.
I think people.
We've been here forever, so you should buy from us.
Yeah, the guy I didn't like was the guy that's like, "Hi, I love cars." What was that guy? That guy sucked.
Yeah,
who cares? But we at St. Louis car guys are some of the worst. But so you started in St. Louis. Yes.
Got to Nashville, and when I first came here, okay, hold on. I was working at the Ford dealership. I just graduated. I just turned 21, and I was coming down to Nashville like once a month or so, just doing writers' rounds and just having a good time. To be honest.
What's writers' rounds? Just everyone hangs out and writes songs.
Yeah. So a writers' round is you get three, sometimes 4 songwriters on stage, and they take turns, and you all get about 3 to 4 songs, and there's usually 3 rounds a night. So somewhere between 9 and 12 people get up there, and everybody gets a couple songs, and you all. It's a way to create community. It's a way to, have a little bit of judging where you're at in the mix.
How is it different from like an open mic? Like just like people just signed up, I guess, because people are like,
no. Writers' rounds are usually they're curated.
Yeah,
like there's somebody hosting it who's invited
nice.
so many people who
nice.
Kind of
because some of those
makes
open
the whole night congenial.
Oh yeah, so, I mean open mics doesn't matter if you're a comedian or musician, but some of them you sit through, you're like, because I want everyone to perform, but sometimes you're like, can you let me know when you're going up? Like if you're like this guy takes it seriously, and you're like, I think he just sings the Survivor song, not the one from Survivor, the one from the CBS. He sings that song,
like he always does Titanic.
Yeah, and it's not good, but we all love it. Now we all sing with him, and that's the only thing he looks forward to all week. No, but we love those people. But so you were doing some of those and coming back like once a week.
So I was down, and I had made a couple of friends. We were going to a hockey game, so we were getting drinks in a bar before, and live music everywhere in Nashville, obviously. So there's a band everywhere.
First time I came to see you was the first time I go, my friend's playing here. Where is she? And she goes, which band? I go, at this bar. And she goes, honey, there's 3 bands at this bar. Yeah. And I go, how did they hear each other? And I had never been in, it felt like a video game. Like you go, it's one sound, then you go up here. I'd never seen that in my life.
Yeah,
that was cool.
There's a lot of stimuli here.
It's special.
Yeah. So anyways, we're sitting in the crowd, and there was a man on stage, and he just kind of pointed me out. He was like, you're a singer. And at that point, I had enough to drink that I was like, yeah, I'm a singer. And so he got me on stage, and I sang a couple songs. I left him my card. And he looked at me with an empty tip jar, and he goes, if you can fill this up by the time you get back, I'll have a job for you. And I was like, done. So I take the tip jar around. I get it filled up. Left him my card. We go to the hockey game. I go back to St. Louis. And then he calls me a couple of weeks later. He's like, hey, what are you doing for CMA Fest, which in Nashville, it's a huge country music
Well, hold on,
party.
real quick, though. You filled it up and he said he'd give you a job, though. Didn't you fill it up immediately?
Yeah, well, he was on stage, though. So I just left him my card, and I was like, call me.
Oh.
You know?
I feel like it should
Back in the days of cards.
Yeah, for sure. I still got a
There
couple.
was no
I don't even want to hand them out
Instagram.
because I'm like, I actually might need that later.
Yeah.
I have like 6 left.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's just so weird. So you filled it. So I thought you were going to be like, you moved down immediately. So it's a couple weeks later.
So he calls me a couple weeks later. He's like, what are you doing for CMA Fest? It's this week. I said, nothing. He's like, well, come down and sing with my band. And so I came down for CMA Fest. I played that weekend, and this is all Broadway stuff. And then went back to St. Louis, and he called me about 2 weeks later again. And he said, hey, if you want to move down, I've got a permanent job for you. Come on down. And so I packed up a suitcase of clothes, a suitcase of shoes. I traded in one of my guitars and got like a mic and some cables and capos and picks and strings, just like have some shit when I got here. And in my car. And I took off and I slept on a couch for 2 weeks at a girlfriend's house and just like started working right away. And then
in that 2 weeks when you live with someone, because you have a dream that you're trying to do, and if you have to crash on someone's house, you're trying to do that dream and somehow be the best roommate anyone's ever seen because you don't want to piss that person off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to get comfortable, and then you're like,
you're always walking on eggshells.
You're walking on eggshells, and you're trying to be respectful, and you're like,
I'm so sorry, I'm breathing so loud.
It's so fine, I don't mind. They go in the room like, they might have pickles here. Like, just mad about everything. Yeah. So you came here and you crashed on Mary Sue Keishow's couch. And
yeah. And then
and she's like, I just have to can you help me put this on before I go to bed?
Please. Sunscreen, you missed the spot.
Yeah. So you come. Oh yeah. So now that's just so this happened fast for you. This is cool how fast this happened. So then as soon as you came here, did you start playing for that guy like full time?
Oh yeah. For the next, probably played specifically for him. He kind of had an alternating cast of crazies, and I was one of them.
And I'm actually curious, and so I feel like there has to be other people that are too. Like, I feel like musicians and comedians are like, people kind of understand this world, but it's like, so when you move down here, it's like, this guy's using like me and some of these other people. Is it often enough it's like a part-time job? Are you working other gigs? Are you like, how does that whole thing look? Because for a comic, it's this, you're always you're piecing
I think they're
things
very
together.
similar.
Yeah.
I think we live a very mirrored life of each other.
I think so too.
Especially so in Nashville proper, speaking specifically of Broadway, which is like the main street where all the music is and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Everybody works for everybody, and everyone's, the bars hire the front people. So who's ever singing, and then the singers hire their players, and we are 1099, and then I 1099 my people. It's all
It's a nightmare during tax season.
It is a nightmare to keep track of. You definitely have to find your rhythm.
Did I eat a Reuben that night? Did I tip them when you were trying to figure out everything you did on top of
and a lot of
dream?
the bars when I first moved here, they all paid cash too. Yeah. It wasn't even like anything you could record.
To a regular person, if you pay like paying for taxes feels like, imagine in your dream when you're flying and stuff, trying to fill out like a 1099. Yeah. Like you do all that and you're supposed to keep your receipts and all of a sudden you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
How many times did I fly in my dream? You know what I mean? Like
it's nuts.
You try to remember it all while doing a thing that everyone's like, how do you do that?
I keep everything on my calendar and I only pay through Venmo. So at the end of the year, I just print out my Venmo.
You are good at it?
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, it's the only thing that's the only reason I survived COVID was because I could get the PPP loan.
Because you kept.
That is one of the only reasons I was able to stay in Nashville. We're in so many. COVID really half
the comedians I knew died.
It was like
half of them passed away because they were just like, we can't afford to live.
It split the men from the boys.
It was crazy. And in fact, I remember they were like, get your paperwork together, and I was like, here's a picture of me with Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. My mom gave me my social security card the other day.
Yeah, dude. Our parents keep it, and you're like, I actually need it.
Yeah. Can I have that back?
Dude, why do they do that? I'm like, hey, can I get that? They're like, I think it's safer at our house. I'm like, people keep asking for it. I think I should have it at my house.
I'm in my 30s, Mom.
Yeah. Oh, it's so weird. Yeah, all that stuff is so very, very interesting. So how long were you living here? Because I remember you started playing pretty regularly at
Tootsie's. Yeah, I worked for them for about 8 years.
For about 8 years. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Because you were playing and booking for them, and you would play at they have other rooms like around the country?
They do. Only in Panama City. I think they're built. I don't know. I've been out of it now for about 2 or 3 years. But yeah, all they had was their Panama City. They do have a marina and they had a golf course.
Gotcha.
So...
That's amazing.
But they've owned several bars on the street, the family does.
But you were always someone that I felt like, because we all went to school together, and we're like the age where it's like we were all, I guess, in like high school, and then Facebook happened. So then we could kind of start checking in on each other. Yeah. And then you'd eventually be like, should I add people I grew up with? Like you didn't know. And then you add and you're like, wait, holy shit, she lives in Nashville? You know what I mean? So I think like you start to like whatever, like you rekindle a friendship or whatever and start to see how they're doing. But to the point that you were just talking about, I feel like you had a really good trajectory. And I'm sure we can talk about any of the parts that were way harder than people know or whatever. But like, I would just see you constantly being on the road, playing with different bands. Like, I feel like every day I'd be like, how does she have another picture of her on stage? Like she's like the Stevie Nicks of Fenton. Like she's like on stage. She's fucking up there like, yeah. And I'm just like, why does anyone take a photo of me? And someone's like, I got it on my phone. I'm like, you're so far back. But no, that's amazing. Like I remember just like seeing pictures of you early on and being like, that's fucking, it seemed cool. But like in hindsight, I don't know. There's no good way. I guess I don't have like a leading question, but I want to know like what parts can you remember that like stand out that are like, these are the hardest things about it that I didn't know I'd have to do. That like, honestly, when I look back thinking about some of the things, like if you woke up and you were like just in Nashville. My dad asked me this question
the other day.
Yeah. Like how, like not saying you wouldn't do it, but like it would be so hard. So I guess my big question is just kind of like talking about, you can go wherever you want. Cause I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
So
you've known me. I had ADHD back then too.
You're doing great. You're killing it. You're using it for good. So my dad asked me this the other day and he basically said, you know, knowing what you know now, if you were to go back, would you do it? Or would you keep doing it?
That's a good one. Yes.
And I was automatically, yes. The short answer is yes. I told Dad, I was like, whether I become a millionaire because I write a song for Disney or I become the next, you know, Alanis Morissette or I'm just writing for Miranda Lambert. Like however this cookie crumbles, I will be doing music.
Yes.
You know, whether it's that or I'm singing in a cardboard box in the corner, like I'll still be doing music.
You just know it. It's in your heart. It's like someone who's an accountant. They're not like, what am I going to do in 10 years? You're like, probably accounting.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not like hard to imagine it. Like it's not crazy once you do it. Yes.
Yes. But I think if I could go in with more knowledge, and honestly, I think I want to say quote unquote the same for everybody. It's just the process of growing up.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the harder things for me where I think about a lot of now that I'm 33, I think a lot about, I have a 16-year-old niece and I'll get myself in positions where I'm like, if this was Josephine, like if I were Josephine right now looking at, you know, as her aunt, would I want her in this position? Yeah. Would I want her dealing with this person? Yes. Would I want her playing at this bar for these people? Would I want her to be writing in a room with this guy? You know, like, so I think if I could do anything quote unquote differently, I would not allow myself to be treated as a girl.
Yeah.
I would be respected as an artist who's just as equal as the dudes.
Yes.
I wouldn't be so I wouldn't allow myself to be so patted on the head.
And do you think, because some of the hard part is that you're also so grateful to be there that you don't want to question.
Well, they use it against you.
Too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, well, do this or don't
all you
work.
wanted your whole life, so it's so easy to be in any way like.
It's easy to be manipulated,
very much.
you know.
Yeah.
Especially, I didn't have the voice then either. You know, I'm sure your voice is different from when you were 21
for
as
sure.
well.
And I've been hearing you sing in the church since I've been hearing you sing longer than anybody.
Oh, I meant like my personal voice, like my
Oh,
I'm just more grounded in who I am now. Where I would just be like, no, I'm just gonna wait this
out. Your
actual
voice, I'm like, fuck, dude.
Oh no, my voice is definitely different
bro.
too.
Let's go. I can't wait to talk about singing in fucking church.
Yeah,
dude. No, so okay, no, that makes sense. Yeah, but that's something. Yeah, I'm sure that's something that's interesting too. Is you could be good at like standing up for yourself in general, but then all of a sudden when your dreams are involved, you
there's not much you won't do for it.
Yeah,
you know, they're really. I mean, within reason, of course. But when if somebody says like, "Hey, tonight's you're not getting paid," or it's now I would be like, "Well, fuck you," and no.
Yes.
But back then I was like, well, I love doing it anyway. Yes. Let's go.
I just told someone the other day that I was the same way. I was like, I don't care if I get paid. And the comic was like, you
cared.
Come over here or they won't pay you. And I was like, I'll do the show for free.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking
but then I think
I
think about Josephine. I'm like, do I want Josephine in an environment where they're not going to pay her? Yes. No matter what she does. I don't care if she's a fucking nurse. Yes. But like, do I? No.
Yes.
I don't.
No.
So
I completely agree. I do totally agree.
Yeah.
And then this is the devil's part of it, the devil's advocate or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this and I'm the same way where I'm like, because there's certain things I'd be like because I've done it and I don't have kids, but if I had a kid or however you say that, to be like, I want to do stand up, I would be like,
yeah.
Like thinking about.
I'm gonna be a psychopath though. I'm gonna be like, fucking go. Yeah.
You want to be like, go, but then all of a sudden they're in Branson. You're like, what was I doing in Branson? And you're like, I drove so far to this house. I woke up at someone's house one time, and this child goes, "Daddy," and I was like, "You have a kid?" I'm like, bro, yeah, you don't want anyone in those situations, but also.
They like make your character though.
They make your character, and it's like
a really strong Sims
and it
game.
does pay well at the Horny Toad sometimes. Like it was a place you did. Whoa, it was called the Horny Toad, and I did go home a Horny Toad. Yeah. I can't believe she goes. And we dropped her kid off at school.
They're selling this. They're really selling their stuff here.
Yeah, for sure. I do think we grew up with movies that made us think that we did have to put up with it. Like it would be nice if early on, like you were saying. I do agree because I do not think anyone should have to go through that. I don't think any kid should have to be like because I've done shows for almost no money, less whatever, but you're like, it did get you where you were, but you're like, you could, if you're good, you'll get there regardless. But I like the wild way. I love the way I did it. I
love the way I did it too, but there are times where I look back and I'm like, well, that was questionable.
Yeah. Or are you look back and you're like, you thought people were scared when they were like, I can't believe I made it out. I'll look back and be like, sincerely, dude, how do we make it out of there?
I know. I have a good girlfriend who we were like in the trenches down on Broadway together. We pursued artistry at the same time. And then she went more on the tech side. And right now she's, for lack of better understanding, she's a TM, like a tour manager.
Nice.
She's doing really well. She's like one of the biggest artists, like country music artists in USA proper, and she's just killing it. And then I have another girlfriend who did the trenches, wanted to be an artist, and then she chose what I'm going to call like real life way.
Yeah,
and she is now a private flight attendant. She's doing great. And then there's me, who's like artist or die.
Yeah. Like did our school put it into us?
I know.
Did St. Paul maybe make us be like, it has to be the art? She's pushing that card around. I'm like, that's us.
Mrs. Curl, what are you doing, girl? No, but we were all in a room together. We had like a sleepover during Christmas. Everybody was in town, and we sat there and we looked at each other and we're like, so when I first moved here, there was no Lyft or Uber. You can only do taxis.
There was taxis here?
Yeah, you can only use taxis, and they only took cash. And very rarely would they let you know they spoke English or not. And when I tell you, we ended up making friends with one of the taxi drivers.
To meet you?
Yeah. Well, his name was Cal. And so we would just call Cal and be like, Cal, we have a shift at 6. And he would come get us from the condo. Yes. And we would be poured back into his taxi at 3:30 in the morning. And he would like take us home, make sure we got in our house, and shut the door.
How many times would you enjoy it and be like, there's like a movie? Like when you're getting dumped in, were there a couple times where you're like,
No, if I was coherent, you know, like.
I came to see you one time. I came to see you and like surprised you, and you were like, "What's up, dude?"
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, "Dude, you just killed it. You can sing like that." You're like, "What do you? What?" Like, yeah,
I
think you did.
about.
And I think you did, guys. I think you guys might have gotten like dumb. You had like a section to yourself, and that's what I mean is so cool. Like, because I did from an outsider. I still don't even. Comics don't really get that. Like, we just get a room where they're like, we still don't get a big green room. Like, so it is nice that you guys had like your own section. I remember that you had to be like, he's with us, and they still punched me, and then they let me come over. I was like,
sounds right. Initiation.
Hey, what's up? No, but yeah, that's cool that you got to do that. But that's so funny. You're like, I wasn't very coherent during those times.
No, I was. Well, think about it. I didn't go to college. I didn't have. So I did all of my growing up in the bars,
dude. And you get 4 years there, but then with us, there's no end. So we just keep being like, I think we're supposed to keep getting fucked up.
Well, finally, it comes to the point where we're like, you look around at your friends and your choices and who's doing what and who's gone where and who's still around and who's doing the same thing. And you're like, okay, I think we're at the point where like it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I think this is the problem.
Yeah, dude.
We're no longer having fun. Like now, you know, Bobby Joe, like, yes. It's Tuesday.
When you wake up and you don't feel good and you know you're not going to feel good for like, you're like, I'm not going to feel good later or tomorrow. And you start thinking about that and then you're like, for sure. Because luckily alcohol is not my big thing.
No.
Is that for you? For you, did you?
When I was 21 to 26, I feel like 7.
Yeah. Because you knew some of the kids I went to high school with, I think, party with you. And I feel like even they were like, oh, Tara fucking party. Like, they're like, she's got cowboy boots on and she fucking goes, dude. Yeah, dude. That's crazy. Yeah, I can drink for a little bit and then eventually I will just like pass out. Yeah. I'm more of a weed man.
Yeah.
I can handle that a lot more. But do you have like a funniest like leaving with that taxi guy? Like I'm sure that it's got to be so nice. That guy took care of you guys so much that he was like a crazy guy back there. You know what I mean? Like there's
always like, thanks, Cal.
It's just not. Yeah, it is nice that you get to like finally be like, we're taken care of in this like city because so many times you're not. Like as a performer. You look at the movies and you're like, it's going to be really hard. But it's also really awesome. And we're like, well, when does that part happen?
Well, here's one of my funnier stories as far as just being on the road and playing shitty shows and finding yourself in, peculiar situations where you're like, 1, why? 2, why aren't we leaving? Yeah. So I was doing a little Florida run with some girlfriends and we got to, let's say like we're halfway through the run and one of our monitors goes out. So, and we need our monitors. Like, you can't sing without them. It's just,
you don't have any ears or anything like that. It's just
and
like
so,
that's the only thing
but we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So we couldn't go buy a $700 monitor. And so we get to the show that we're supposed to be playing. We have one monitor left and we're like, okay, let's just basically like tell everybody our woes and pray to God they feel for us and tip the shit out of us and we can go get a speaker.
Okay.
So we get there and I'm like, no, we can't do this with a monitor. We still need to, like, this is ridiculous. We're going to blow our voices out. We're not gonna be able to sing for 3 more days and we're gonna be double fucked, the whole 9 yards. So I did the dad phone call. I'm like, Dad, I need a loan, $700. We have to go get this. We have to go that. And he's like, yeah, just go get it. Like, get it taken care of.
You're like, Dad, can you pick me up a guitar center?
I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere,
Dad,
Florida.
Can you get us we need a monitor right now. And I know you said I could always call you if I needed a monitor.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And but the other part of this is that this show that we were setting up for, it was like a thrown in there. Like we got it from the gig before. They're like, oh, I have a cousin, 2 hours that way. It's on your way. They'll stop. They'll pay you, blah, blah, blah. But we didn't have anywhere to stay. And there was 5 of us. And so night goes, we get the monitor, it's fine. End of the show, we have nowhere to stay. I was like, everyone was too drunk. I was like, we're not driving the next 3 hours to the next place. Like, no. So we have these 2 guys, 40, 50-year-old men who are like, hey, you guys can go. And we had 2 guys with us.
Okay, nice.
So
because that gets scary. Though.
Yeah.
Like, how old are you?
Oh, no, we had one guy. I think it was just Chris. Anyways, doesn't matter. We had at least one male with us. When we get to this guy's house,
just a really strong woman. Just like you're so strong, but you need like one woman that you're like, I've never seen
people
someone
are scared
so tall.
of. Yeah. And so everything inside of me is like, I don't know about this. Yeah. But we get to the guy's house, it's 2 a.m. He's, let's rip a bong. Let's do it. And like one of those things where you're like, dude, and he's in like a golf short and khaki pants. And you're just kind of like, what's
I hate smoking weed with those guys. I hate
what is
those
the story? You're not one of us.
Guys. When they smoke weed, you're like, you've heard someone.
Yeah.
You can just tell you're like, this guy's a weird guy.
Yeah. And he had a buddy with him. And then, so we're sitting on the back porch.
Both in pink shorts. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a really nice house. And we're sitting at this beautiful pool, blah, blah. And out of nowhere, this like 95-year-old woman comes into the back porch, like slings the door open, and she's like, God damn it, Michael, I told you you're not doing this anymore. He was living with his mother. And he's like, Mom, go to bed.
I thought his wife was just so old. That's
No, he was living with his mom.
He's like, that really?
Yeah, and all of us, and she basically, she like looked at, exactly, no, literally, exactly how you would think high schoolers reacted. That is exactly what happened. Yeah. Everyone's like spraying perfume.
I'm going to say
out of
it's
their
yours.
bottles.
He's shaking.
Yeah.
What?
So this woman basically like looks at us and she's like, you're welcome to stay, but like, you're going to bed. And we're like, yes, ma'am, we're all going to bed now. We get up in the morning. This guy's obviously profusely hungover and is like so sheepish, like won't make eye contact with any of us. He's like sitting there, like his mom's like, his 97-year-old mother is like making us scrambled eggs and bacon and coffee. And she's like, oh, we hope you guys have a great trip. Like stop by anytime. And I looked at my girlfriends. I was like, get the fuck in the car.
Yeah.
We're not eating eggs. We're not having pancakes. Get
his
in
mom's
the car.
about to cut us up into pieces. Let's go.
But that's always a trip that I think of that I'm like,
that's hilarious, especially because you
end up,
you can't even know.
So
susceptible, and you just think that you're like, no matter what you believe in, you're like, I think the arts are going to take care of me tonight. There's so many times when you do have this blind trust. You have this blind trust. You're like, there she goes again. I literally just like, I've definitely gone through cities where I'm like, this sucks. And I'm like, I think it's supposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you kind of, that's all you're hoping.
All the good's gonna turn, or all the bad's gonna turn to good. I'm gonna have a big pile of good one day.
Yeah. And then you're like, it should be, I've been checking my mail. It should be. No, but like I said, like that was something that I saw. I remember I've seen you like it on the road doing different shows, I think in different cities too.
Yeah.
And yeah, just so many different places with different people online and stuff too. And you got to play over, like you've played around the world. Right?
I have.
Where have you played?
Most in Switzerland is like I go there every year.
That's so cool. You have a place. You're like, Switzerland's kind of my jam.
Yeah.
What are the people like there?
They're ridiculously kind.
Really?
Yeah. And everybody is, what I love about Switzerland is, first of all, it's the cleanest country I have ever been to in my entire life. Really? Their infrastructure.
Cleaner than this one?
Oh my God. Can you imagine? No, their infrastructure is incredible. Everything is clean. Yeah. Everyone is, not a hair out of place. And they're just the kindest. You understand, first of all, the scenery, just in general, if humans didn't live there, it is so picturesque.
Really?
Just the land in general is one of those, like, you feel like you're
Is it like mountain-esque? Like, what's it like?
Yeah.
Is it just, yeah.
You feel like you're in a movie.
Oh, nice.
Really, the first time I ever went over there, they took me up to the Alps. The Alps, right?
Oh, the Alps of Switzerland? Yeah.
And we get up there, and I have never snowboarded or skied in my entire life. So they have these like toboggans or sleds or whatever, and we are going down mountains. We are going down the Alps on sleds, and they're like,
you're like checking your health insurance like on the way down.
They're like, don't put your feet down. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to stop? They're like, you'll figure it out. Bye.
They say, they're like, you hit Sheboygan, and you're like, what?
If you've gone to France, you've gone too far. Like, they don't want you.
Being
Come
scared
back.
in another country is something I don't know anything. That's so funny. They let me get that far into Canada and turn me around. That's so funny. Yeah. So that is so funny that you're in Switzerland. So you're going down, and how did you stop? Just at the...
Oh, your natural instincts take over, and you freak out, and you put your feet down.
Yeah.
And then you're just...
Like, that's what everyone does. I don't
think that's how you're supposed to stop, but that's all I could think of to do, and it was...
Crazy. And so the shows
traumatic.
Are great.
The shows are wonderful,
and
they love country music, and they're kind of depraved of it.
Really?
Deprived of it.
I think deprived, but I could be deprived.
Yeah, deprived.
That word.
Yeah.
So they love country music over there.
They do.
And
they love all music. Okay. They really do. But the first couple times I went over there, we were really just playing with a cover band. Yeah. So it's a small world because how that all conspires is there was a girl named Beth Behe who played in Nashville on Broadway for forever.
Okay.
These Swiss guys, there's a group of 10 of them. They're they started as a motorcycle group, called themselves the Wild Hogs, and they are the coolest group of dudes you've ever been around.
Cool.
But it was like their family tradition that they would come to Nashville for a week every year, and they had been coming for like 10 years in a row. They always found Beth, and then it kind of trickled out to we saw them every year, and we all became friends. Beth actually ended up marrying one of them, moved over to Switzerland. They have a baby.
Go Beth,
and
dude. Beth rules.
Beth's awesome. And the kind of like the head honcho of the group, he had some clubs there and he's opened up a bar now, and he's actually opening up a few more like sister stores, bars as well. His name's Dano. Hi, Dano, if you're listening. And, but he started bringing all of us over. And so we would come in, and now they call it Nashville Nights, and they have us, I think it's once a month, they bring somebody over from Nashville, and they've made it more artist focused now, where we get to play our music, and, you know, with the bands, we have a day of rehearsal with the band, so to go over all of our original stuff. And then you do one night acoustic, you do one night full with the band, and they're so gracious, they put you up, and you can make your ticket for whenever, so you can go there for 2 weeks, you can go there, like, Whoa. They're just a little dream.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, when you're doing like what you love in another country, there has to be time. Are you emotional? Do you cry, or do you just take it in? Do you not cry? I don't know if I've ever seen you cry.
Oh,
and I've known you
I'm
forever.
a crier.
Me too.
I'm
Let's
a
go.
crier.
I feel like but I also feel like, because I don't know if I can remember ever seeing you cry. I was like, I feel like if I cried in front of you, you would punch me. Like, I feel like you could you'd be like, toughen up. I'm like, you're right, Tara. I should toughen up a little bit. Like, you're very feminine, but I've also never, like, in that way, I don't think that just crying is either side. I just am trying to picture.
Tommy's like, this bitch cries every morning.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I think one time we had a phone call when you guys broke up. Yeah, whenever I was like, hey, we do a tour. You're like, well, we're not doing so good right now. I was like, let's definitely not try to do this thing. But I remember that was a bad time because you didn't have your Tom Tom.
Yeah.
She's never said that, by the way. That was a nickname I made up. Her Tom Tom. But yeah, so when you're in another country, did you cry?
I cry on the way home on the plane. That's like when I'm kind of like reminiscing on everything that just happened and realizing that I get really overwhelmed sometimes that music has literally given me everything in my adult life.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. And I think it's also why I can have such like, it's not a temperament, and I don't want to say it's judgment, but why I can get so offended if I think people are doing music poorly or cheaply.
Sure.
Or I'm just like, fuck off.
Because
like, if you're not going to do it well, or do it respectfully, or do it with any type of like sacredness to it, fuck you.
If you're not trying to go to Switzerland, fucking quit it. Yeah. No, I do. We were talking about it the other day, because I very much like, I'm like, I think everyone should be able to like express their art. But then the one guy was like, yeah, but then they are like taking away. So I see both sides totally, but I feel like if
somebody's passionate about it and they suck, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm just talking about like the people who are good, who treat it like,
oh, that's a way more important.
Yeah. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, good people who don't, or I've been on the road with someone and you're like, they're doing so well and they're like, fucking hate every bit of this. You're like,
exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Those people.
Okay, that makes. I'm not
like,
just
then
like,
go work at Target.
Yes, because I do love someone who does suck. Like, I'm like, you're so suck, but you're fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been on the road with.
Or
some
you can
people
like see that they genuinely are like, this is everything. You're like, good.
Because there are people that you see that you're like, they really care. Like you do. It means a lot.
Yeah.
And when you cry, and then whenever you cry, you don't know what's coming on. So then you're on an airplane, you have to like pull your hat down like this. And you're just like, oh my God. Where do you cry? In front of other people? Like when you're crying on the airplane home?
At this point, if I have to cry, I'm just going to cry.
Me too. I'll cry I literally, when I was in New York, I was just listening to Alan Watts, and he was just like, we're all one. And I'm like, and everyone in Brooklyn's like, get the fuck up. No, everyone in New York's wildly nicer than
anybody portrays. I know.
I was like this, and a guy who didn't speak English, like, you did not know where you're going. And he like helped me around. Yeah. I did that twice at your house on this table. I'm the worst. But she grew up. She knew that I fucking suck and do this all the time. Oh my God.
No, they are nice. I love New York.
That's cool.
There's like a little part of me that's always wanted to live there.
We should, guys, we'll save up and get a little place we can always just go to, because I'm the same way. I moved to Austin, but I've always...
I just want to do like 2 or 3 years. Yes. Like a stint. Like a New York stint.
Because when you're there, it feels like, you know how that charger, because I don't have that phone yet, but instead of plugging it in, it charges while it's just sitting on something.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I feel in New York. Like when you're walking
around,
just like
you're soaking it in.
Yeah. It pulls right into you, and you're like, this is amazing. Yeah. There is something about it that's cool. But you really have done it your whole life, because I specifically remember none of us took singing seriously except for you, I think. In class, when we were kids, like in kindergarten, and I've told you this many times, but you're the first person I saw do this with their ear. And I remember doing it with my ear. I'm like, what's happening? Does she like put the song I remember being like, does she hold it like this? Does she hold it? I remember watching it. I was like, because I would just mouth the words. Yeah. Even when we all had to play the recorder, I was like, I can't do this. You know what's
so funny? It was like the entire time that was happening, I was like having an internal meltdown because I was so embarrassed. Like I wanted to do it so bad, but I was so scared.
I know. And I was sitting in the back, and in church where you're not supposed to do it, I was like slightly being like, why does she do that? Yes, but you would be belting it out. And because there was like, we all got to sing, like the class would sit up there, but every once in a while, like on top of that, they put some people up there. So whenever they like raise their hand in the Catholic church, like 4 of you guys are like, he's calm down now. Like you guys go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were always singing. Did you enjoy singing in church? Because that had to be so much more fun for you because it was just stressful for me. It was like gym. When people describe like, oh, I was just getting thrown dodgeballs. That was like going to church for me. I'm just like, they're going to make me stand and sing.
I don't know. I think church is such a funny thing to think about. I just enjoyed singing.
Most of our memories together are from a church, which is really wild.
It's very funny now.
Yeah. Very funny now.
Very funny now.
Super weird.
But
most of my memories, like we have like that fucking
church is where I had like my first panic attack though, I think. Because I remember it so vividly. They had me playing piano and I did not want to play piano in front of people. To this day as an adult, I don't like playing piano in front of people.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Why?
It just sets me, I just like, I can't. It's like my off button. I just like power down. But I love the piano and I love playing the piano, but I don't play it in front of anybody really. And I remember the first time I ever had to play it in front of people and it mattered was at church. And, you know, it wasn't background. It was like, and we're waiting for the piano before the rest of the procession happens. And I just remember feeling my heart like in my throat. Like I remember feeling pulsating in my neck. And I remember like not being able to see for a slight second and just being like, now I have to push the keys. And it was no more than like a 2-minute thing. But I remember like trying to get like off of the bench to get away from the piano to go sit with the rest of the class. I just remember being like, my knees don't work.
Yes. That's crazy that you had to do it that young, dude.
I was a full-on meltdown.
Dude.
Until this day, I still hate playing the piano.
Because also, was that the piano where your back faces the audience?
No, it was...
we did face that one? Yeah. Okay, because there's nothing worse than whenever they're like...
Yeah.
and they're like...
Yes.
Giving a man of God it's the funniest looking thing ever.
Amen, amen.
There's God in that song. Dude, that's so funny.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, that's so crazy. But it really is cool to think, and just to go back to like what you were talking about, because that was something that it's cool to get to see it as someone who's like also both like following our dreams to be able to like, when I came in, I was like, I don't think she knows I'm like here.
Yeah.
So I just got to like watch you play and like watching you in your element. You would, no offense, but if you ever like, you're like, I'm going to sneak in and watch my buddy while he's doing accounting. You would never be like, he's killing. Like you just like,
yeah. And
you're like, oh, that actually sucks. And then you'd be like, hey, but I got to be like, what's up? And you're like, what's up? We're about to go throw in a taxi. And it was fun. You do know everything about this place. And that's what's fun about like, yeah, people, I don't know. It's just like, there's no job. They're like, let me show you where we do accounts payable. But like, you would run me up and down the street and you're like, that guy plays you were just showing me like, that guy is Reba McEntire. Yeah. You're just like, you were pointing everyone out and you were like, no, not this bar. And then you're like, this bar. And I can't remember the guy's name, but we went in one bar. And this is maybe the most emotional I've gotten since I've known you, except for the first time. I think whenever we were kids, you put your like arms like this while we were watching a movie. And I think that was when I like I was like, I hit puberty because I think you did. I was like, well, I'm going to pat you. Tara, stop. And you like sat just by me. And I was like, I think I like girls and everyone calls me gay.
Just because you went to Catholic school.
But then also was like, and then we're like just playing soccer. I'm like, she keeps kicking my ass. Do you remember I used to switch teams? Do you?
Yeah.
People are like, I was non-binary before anybody. We would just play, and I was the only kid in our class who didn't play soccer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think my dad was like, no, that's too gay or whatever. I don't know why, but
I don't know why you didn't play it either.
I think because I lived farther than you guys. Because I lived in like High Ridge, so my parents were like, you can't play baseball. And I don't remember. I just was the only kid that didn't play like soccer. I feel like with all you guys.
You and your brother both did baseball.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we didn't go there. We like switched before.
No,
yeah.
But
he would just be there. He was real young. He's like 7 years younger. Yeah. He was probably just there and you saw him.
Or maybe I just remember him like on a field trip with your mom with us or something.
For sure. Yeah. Because definitely whenever I left kindergarten was when I had a brother. And I remember she like brought, and you were like, I remember all the girls came out. Like, you're like, Miss Jaycox, can we see him? And I was like, whoa. Ladies, my brother's not enough. There's enough for him to go around. You have to hold his neck though.
Support.
Dude. But yeah, I can't remember what I was talking about because I have so many flashbacks of what were we just talking about? I just got thrown off.
We were talking about soccer. You were
yeah,
there.
But you remember me so well, yeah, because I was on the after a while when none of them passed you, you're like,
fuck this place.
So then finally the ball they don't kick it to you, it just comes over to you. And then I was like, here you go, Tara. I give it to you, and you're like, you look like Mia Hamm. That's the only soccer player I know.
And she was all of our heroes.
My second
Her
guess
and Brandy Chastain.
My second guess would be Danica Patrick, and I know she's actually a racer.
Yeah.
I don't know any soccer players. I'm like Bob Marley, but I just remember you guys killing it. So I remember like past that, and the guys were like,
we were such good little soccer players.
The girls every
team?
day was one big game of boys versus girls, and me just being like,
we were great. We really were.
Some days I'd make myself the referee. Silly. No, you guys legit would. I'm telling you, as a guy who just watched. And would ask if I could. I'm like,
you and Mary Sue on the sidelines.
Don't touch me with that stuff. It's too greasy. I think I have autism. Oh my God. I was telling a story the other day on my podcast, but only that of, do you remember Tony Pizzella and like some of those kids?
Goodness, yeah.
We went to school with some of the weirdest kids. But I remember his dad was our baseball coach because you said baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And he was standing there one time, and I can't remember. Dalton? I can't remember.
Tony Pizzella.
Tony Pizzella's dad.
Two different colored eyes?
Yeah, I think he had two different. No, yeah.
That was Tyler Palizzi.
Tyler Palizzi, yeah.
Palizzi.
Yeah, we had like a lot of TPs.
We had a lot of Italian names, too, now that I think about it. Jesus.
Should have been on the hill for sure. But I just remember he was standing there and we were all playing baseball. And like when you're kids, it seems so fun. But when you look back, you're like, it's such a waste of time. And I remember we were sitting there and Tony Pizzella's dad, I just didn't know if you remember him. He was looking like this. And this kid Dalton just did that thing where he didn't even look and just threw it so fucking hard. And all of us, I remember we stood there and just like watched and we're like, we don't even know physics yet. And that's gonna hit his dad in the cock. And I remember he's standing there and just hits him. And we all watch him fall down.
Just dying.
And we hear him, he's like, I'm going to fucking kill that kid. Like, even as a kid, you're like, but I thought we go to Catholic school. You're supposed to forgive him. He's like, I'm going to fucking kill that kid.
So we were playing softball. And Shanna McMahon's. It's dumb.
Just their names are funny now.
They sound like something off of Parks and Rec.
I want to play. We can play a game where if I like, we will in a second. We'll say a name and try not to laugh. Okay. I will just say someone say from our class.
So, her dad was our softball coach.
Okay.
And Kathleen, there was a pop fly. Kathleen's looking up. Kathleen Burhorse. Straight into the sun. And I mean, it's straight on, beeline her forehead.
Oh,
and she dropped like a sack of potatoes. I just remember all of us being like, oh my God. And then losing it.
That is so funny. I put this on. I don't know why. I'm so hot now.
Yeah.
It's the summertime. Dude, and she got hit right in the head. And you never forget when you watch someone get hit, you're like, I think they're about to get rocked. Because you don't want them to get hurt, but you're like, doesn't look like they're going to die. Dude, when you're a kid, and people get so hurt all the time. Do you remember? I was telling someone, like, do you remember, like, when you were a kid? I was like, I don't think my knees were ever healed. We would just be on black pavement, just fucking knocking each other over and just get inside. And like, my mom was like, "Do you need new pants?" I'm like, "Yeah." I slid into first base. She's like, "I don't think that's the base you're supposed to slide in." Dude, those days were wild.
Like, you're on the parking lot.
All right. Well, I just want to do this once because I do, and then we'll say it. All right. I'll start. I'll say a name and you just have to try to not laugh.
Okay.
Just from our class. I'll cut it out if it totally sucks. Okay.
We should do the thing where we say it at the same time.
That's actually better. And I was kind of thinking that, but I don't want to. Yes, let's do it. Okay.
1, 2, 3, then say it?
Yes.
Okay. Are you
I actually already feel like we are, so it's okay. But yes. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Sam Seltzer. That was the first one I was thinking of. But then I was actually thinking Sam Seltzer, but the first one that made me laugh that I thought of the game was Mike McNulty. Why are the two?
What was he? And then there was
Michael Alberti.
Mr. Wiegers.
I'm gonna throw up, dude. Oh my God, dude! I can't even breathe. You want to do it again? Dude, do you remember okay, I'm going to say something. Because if you remember his name, I will fucking throw my microphone. One in your house. I'm just kidding. But when we went to an all-white Catholic school. I think on our first day of kindergarten, me and you, it was me, you, a girl who's not there anymore, and there was one black kid, and he was there for one
Marvin.
day. You remember him?
Marvin. Come on, man. That was an oddity. How do you not remember?
He sat across from me, and he was so funny. And the next day, they're like, I think that kid was too funny. He just wasn't there ever again. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think even as parents, I think we're like, this was a little too white.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, my buddy has a joke about that. My buddy, Kenny Kynes, has a joke where he goes, I think it's so funny. He goes, if you ever see a black family at a Catholic church, just know they've been tricked. Sorry, Kenny. I just had, it's so, oh my God. It's just how it is. But yeah, I remember I was like, this kid's so funny. And next day I was like, where'd he go?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Dude, that's so fucking funny. I can't believe we're just laughing at names. That's how it feels. Maybe it's because when we're sitting there like alphabetical order, everyone say, I'm going to say your name and you know if you're here. And then you say your social security number back to it. Oh my God, you made me fucking laugh so hard. That's so funny. They're literally the first one I was thinking is that when I wanted to play the game.
Yeah.
But then because I was talking about Sam Seltzer.
I can't remember
Did he ever have a belt on, Sam Seltzer? I always feel like his butt was, I don't know. I was talking about when he was a catcher that we'd be like, pull your pants up. And he'd look at the parents and be like, I'm trying. He was always one of those kids that felt like he had bags with him, but he didn't. He just felt like he had too much stuff. And I love him, dude. He's seriously funny, nice. But he would have like that bag. He'd pull out his homework and it looked like he got it. He's like...
like Hermione's bag, like Harry Potter.
He like got
very
inside
true.
of it.
It was like, well, how did you get a gerbil out of that thing?
Oh my God, dude. That is one of the funniest things ever. And dude,
what was Nick?
Oh, we had a bunch of Nicks.
Mess.
Yes. He's nice. Sometimes he'll message me, but I remember when he was one of those kids that you ever knew a kid that you're like, okay, we're not going to bully you, and then out of nowhere, I don't know, you would just be like, what? And we're like, nothing. But when we switched to public school, he saw me and I was nice to him, and he always was like, you were so nice to me. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be mean to you. I was like, when we went to Catholic school, we all just know everybody. So when there's a new kid, all of a sudden you're just like, look over. And I've been the new kid, and dude, being the new kid is
brutal. Yeah.
Oh my God, it sucks so bad.
Yep.
But yeah, Nick.
What was the other? I can't think.
Peoples?
Nick Holberg.
No, I was a kid who went to my school. Nick Holberg.
That's who I can think of.
Yeah. Dude,
that's the first
funny.
name I was trying to think of. And when I couldn't remember Kohlberg, I went to Mike McNulty.
That's funny. That's the only one I remember I saw him when I was working at Sports Authority with his dad and they're buying shoes. And I remember I go, hey, what's up? We went to school together. And he was like, okay. I was like,
oh, nothing's changed.
I was like, all right, later, dude. I was like, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Nice to see.
Oh my God, dude, that is so fucking funny. Yeah, there was something funny because we went at this school that when you're a kid, you feel like everyone knows each other. But like we only had like 60 kids in a class.
It was in the whole grade.
In the whole grade, yeah.
30 kids in a class.
And so they would like every year they'd mix you up and see how you guys like got along, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember for sure, always remember you being like, just every day, I'm like, it's just soccer and singing with that girl. Like, that's like,
and horses.
You killing it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I guess you did have horses, but we knew you actually had a horse and you weren't a horse girl.
Yeah.
Because we know who.
Oh, I was. I just didn't at school.
Yeah. I feel like we could say the same name of horse girl in the same.
Yeah. Tara Lynn.
No, not you. I wouldn't say you. Go
no.
like this and say it.
We're being mean kids. I don't like it.
No, I don't. That's the only reason it's funny is because we're not saying any stories about him.
No,
we're just saying their names because when you're a kid, the only currency, it's like us being like Enron, like
yeah,
you know that thing we all know. Oh my God, I want to throw up laughing so hard. I can't even breathe. I can't believe. Yeah, we've known each other for a very, very long time. So then, whenever you were a kid, was there like a time because you were always doing it? When were you like? I feel like most jobs are a decision, but were you just like, yeah, I think I'm just going to, you just were like, I'm going to do this.
No, not really. I wanted to do it. I always wanted, it was always like I'm the kid that would get emotional watching American Idol.
Oh, yeah.
Like when people would get voted out or when the person won or whatever. Like I was the one who was like 3 inches from the TV, like sobbing with them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I just didn't have I would never say that my parents weren't supportive, but I don't know if it scared the shit out of me or if I just didn't think I was good enough or what, but there was especially after high school, in college and whatnot, I kept telling myself, I kept trying to put Band-Aids on it. So I was like, I'm going to do music therapy. I'm going to, work at the music store. Or I'm going to I'm going to be in music, but still like a real person, you know? And then finally, after coming down,
they kind of lie. It's like this thing where they're like, you like try to like lie about the thing you want to do. You're like, I just want to, I'll just make guitars.
Yeah.
You literally
whatever the Band-Aid is. Yeah. And I just, after coming to Nashville a couple times and seeing it, I don't know. I think I've always had a little bit of the like, oh, how bad could it be? Or, what could possibly go wrong? I've always had like a very healthy dose of that. Yes. And I've always just known it's the thing I'm the best at. Yeah. Like that and
for sure. Like you've been doing it. Yeah. If it's the 10,000 hours, you definitely got it. Like I saw them. Yeah. I'm like, you got them. Like for sure. I'm not joking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's that's something that I've had to learn as an adult that always really confused me. Like, especially like when Tommy and I first started dating, I could not wrap my head around that he didn't know what he wanted to do. Yeah. I was like, there's no way. Like, it's going to be something you like. What do you like? What are you good at? And he's like, well, I just want to like, I like riding motorcycles and I like going to the gym and I want to make money. And I'm like, what do you like? What do you want to do? And he's like, I don't know. Like, not everybody knows what they want to do.
Like, what do you like besides music? And you're like, listening to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I work out, I'll just put that in, but I don't really work out. I'll just like, this is good. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So, and I had never even thought that people don't know what they want to do.
For sure.
I was like, oh, if she's a nurse, so she's wanted to be a nurse and she was too. And they're like, no, I just paid a lot of money and I'm kind of good with people.
100%. People like, they're like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Sure. So that, I've just always known music is my thing. Yeah. That's just, I remember, speaking of grade school, being in music class, and it was when we had, when Sister Mary Carroll retired. I
couldn't think of her name. Nice. Yes.
And then we had Mrs. Weaver.
I don't remember her. I think that was that. I think I had
left. After you left.
Yeah, because I only remember her because she was a nun. I felt like that, like, didn't have any blood, just musical notes in her body. Because she would, like, she's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, okay, I'm fucking clapping. She was like, but she loved music, but it was like a nun would love music. Yeah. Like, it was very intense.
She was older, too. So it was like a grandma nun who loved music. It was like this really weird roundabout Mrs. Doubtfire thing.
Yeah, that room, I was like, does it smell more like instruments or her?
Yeah, exactly.
Like old woodwind instruments or
It's one of the two.
So, like, go in that class and we'd go pick stuff out. And I'm like, I don't want to be in here too long. Yeah, oh my God.
But so Mrs. Weaver, in my eyes, like made music class like way more like modern.
Nice.
And then she gave us, I remember we got this magazine and the magazine was comparing like 2 separate number ones of that year. And one of them was Crazy in Love, Beyonce and Jay-Z. And the other one was a bluegrass band and the song was The Lighthouse, and they're called Nickel Creek. And I remember she was asking all these questions and nobody was answering but me. Like, it was like her and I were just having a conversation. Everybody else was just existing at the moment. And it was just one of those things where I was like, I remember being so proud of myself that I knew all the answers. And it wasn't something I had ever like actively learned. Yeah. I hadn't like, someone had told me that was just inside of you. Yes. And in a weird full circle moment. So
you don't know, it feels like, it just feels so right. It sits in you and you're like,
this
and you look around and all the rest of us
and nobody gives a fuck. Yeah.
We don't care at all. And something connects. Yes. I love this.
So, but full circle moment. So last year, that band is called, I told you it's called Nickel Creek, and they played the Ryman last year, and I like literally have a tattoo of the lighthouse. Like, this is the lighthouse. And because I really think that like that was like a moment for me when growing up where I was like, I know who I am. And so they played the Ryman last year or something. I'm literally getting emotional by
I'm not even joking. I'm like, I love these moments.
I spent like $700 on 2 tickets to be like front row. And the Ryman's a really small place. There's not a bad seat in the Ryman, really. And I just sat there and like wept.
Just taking in so
and I looked at Tommy and I was like, if you say one fucking word during this experience,
no one can piss you off.
I was like, don't try to talk to me.
We don't. Sometimes
don't get a bag of chips.
Yes.
Like, you're coming, and if you're coming very quietly.
Look with me.
Yes. Like,
you bet. And if I miss something, you tell me.
Write your questions down. I'll get them at the end.
Yes. There are certain things that are so important to us because I feel like you don't. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to explain. Like,
they're sacred to us, and we don't even know why.
I know.
Other than like innately.
Yes, I've always said my moment was when I was drunk as a child. at a college during the summer with my dad.
Yeah.
It's like none of us should have been there. Like my cousin flunked out and he's at summer college and I'm 13 or whatever. And we're drinking. And then I was like, they were like, Bobby, calm down. They're like, you're getting a little too drunk. They're like, listen to this guy. He just came to our school. And I put in headphones and I had heard of a couple stanzas before, but it was Dane Cook. And I remember being like, this is what I didn't even know what I want. I just remember being like, I'd never heard anything like this. Cause I know some people are like, they're like, oh, I like Dane Cook. Or whatever. I always thought he was so good, especially when we were coming up. It was the perfect time because I'd only seen like stand up with a tie on. This guy like sound like me. So then I was just in LA last year. I have a picture and I haven't even shared it because I whatever. But I was standing upstairs and
he had a rough go.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's had a bunch of a lot of stuff. Dude.
Yeah,
a ton of stuff and some things I know about and don't because if I love something, I won't I just like.
You
know
want
to
keep it the picture just in your head, yeah.
And then so he comes upstairs, and I was like, he's kind of like like I have people that are that now I love like that I've listened to,
yeah.
But he like walks upstairs, and
he's like your OG,
yes, 100%. And then I hear his voice, and he's like walking upstairs, and I like at his club, like I look up, and that picture of him with a sword, is there, and I'm just like, and I hear his voice, and I literally go in the bathroom, and I start tearing up, and I literally look in the mirror, I go, you can't cry because I have one of those faces that after I cry,
it's bright red. I know I get all puffy and red. It's like each stream leaves a trail.
Yeah, and I look like because people are like I look bad. Like I look like a different like an eight. Like they're like people might be like, is that a person? Like it looks really bad. So I didn't want to like. Yeah, I really like you, and so I didn't want to do that. So I like held it together. I don't know why. I think it's whenever, like you said, like when you can't believe you get to do it and like you're whatever. So then I met him and we kind of like, he literally was like, I just wanted to say thank you. That's it. Like or whatever. And he goes, dude, pull up a seat. And I go, it's okay. He's like, pull up a fucking chair. I go, okay. So like we chatted. And then when he went on stage, the girl who was like the host, I went down and I go, hey, I'm not on the show. And I was like, I'm a comic. And I go, dude, can I sit here? Because there was like where the comics sit. And she was like, one. And she was so nice because not every comic is. Yeah. And she goes, fuck yeah. And so I got to sit there and I remember like closed my eyes at one point because I didn't see him the first time. I only heard him. And I like closed my eyes. I was like, I'm like transported back. Yeah. And 100%, I walked from there to the Comedy Store and 100% was like somehow like laughing and crying and smoking. Probably going crazy, I guess. But I'm just like looking around. I was like, no one's having a better night than me. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I walked, and as soon as I got to the store, I just, like, the Comedy Store, I walked in, and someone who helped me so much starting was Nikki Glazer. Yeah. And she was on stage. I just walked in, and she's on stage, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I didn't know she was going to be in the lineup.
Well, I feel like that's like when you know you're doing it. Like, I am doing the right thing. Yes. Like, all of these, I have so many fucked up moments, but when they align, they fucking align.
And I can't fight them as much anymore, because I'm like, I think being religious kind of left me, but then having the whole nothingness, and now there are just sometimes that are things that just remind you, like it's like whenever you know when you go like this and then you feel your keys, you're like, oh, I'm okay. Yeah. Sometimes life will do that. You're just like 777 or whatever
exactly.
stupid ass thing it is. Like I'll be like driving, you have a thought, like I wonder if that, and then like the light hits your eyes and you're like, oh, that was okay. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
gnats from the universe, man.
I know, and
little winks.
I know. Sometimes you fight them a little bit, but I feel like I do see them. But then sometimes
I don't fight them at all.
Down, I know. Sometimes your car breaks down. You're like, which one's this one? You're like, it's a lesson. You're like, I'm really cold right now. Yeah. I'm actually colder than you might know. Yeah. Like, whatever. But that's so funny that because we both have that. And I feel like we did grow up with it so much. I mean, it was every week. So then to have that, does it come out at all in your music? Because I feel like only now, because I tried to fight it, and now I do write jokes about Catholic stuff. Not only, but just because I'm like, it's so much stuff that I know. Like, does that come out in your music at all? Like any of the...
As far as like the morality of it?
Anything. Like just like sometimes I'm like I will talk about just like it as a whole because I'm a comedian. So when you're writing songs, anything, you're like even just the melody, or if they're like morals or anything. Like, is there anything? What do you pull?
Here's a direct result. Here's a direct result. A little on the nose. So I have a spiel when I'm playing downtown, and downtown is mostly for tips, right? It's getting better, but it's mostly for tips. So I always say, I have to think of the line, you get like your bits of your show that you use every single night. And so one of them is when I'm explaining to the people, because a lot of people don't know when they come to Nashville how the musicians get paid or how the bars work and all that stuff. And so I always explain, I'm like, this is, we're not quite Vegas yet. Like it's not 60, 80, $100 to walk in. All they ask is that you tip your bands and tip your bartenders so we can be here for you next time. And so I always say, but I will be upfront and honest that yes, we do play for request, but the $20 versions, and then I sing it like in church. I go, are so much better than the free ones. Yeah. And everyone knows it. Everyone knows exactly. They're like,
yes.
Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yes. That's fucking
3
beautiful.
chimes.
Yes. Yes.
So that's a direct result. But then I think as far as like the spirituality or the morality of how your compass points.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, it's no matter how much we stray from it or we, relearn it or, put
kind
it in our own box or ignore
yeah.
whatever, however we've used it as an adult, I don't think we can avoid that it is part of our road.
I think so too. Because I think I've had that thought too, where it's like, I've even when I was a kid, I was like, even though now I'm like, I don't really believe, I think that like, whatever, just like the quickest way to say it is like, I don't believe in like a Catholic God.
Yeah.
But it's weird that when I was a kid, it did give me a little thing. Like there was times you were scared and you're like, legit, I think Jesus is with me.
Yeah.
Like, or whatever. You're like, I'm kind of scared, but you're like, and it wasn't like that. You just like felt like you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, there are those things where you're just like, yeah, you can't stray from it. And I'll look at other people who try to be like, I think nothing matters. And you're like,
yeah,
I think you might think that right now, but there are times that happen. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, but I think sometimes if you get too lost in it or whatever, because then sometimes I'll feel like I figured it out.
Well, and I think
It's
life
weird.
really serves it to you when you probably don't know it's coming, but you need it.
Like, don't you feel? I feel like you have more. I feel like I don't know any accountants. Like, and I keep using that for. You could be a great accountant. I don't know,
Very
but
happy
like,
accountant.
Yeah, but if you did just that every day, I don't feel like I know people that are like, yeah, and I was just driving home from this audit, and I was just like, this is what I've always wanted to do. I have that moment. Sometimes like daily, like I'll be on the road doing show. Like I was in Vegas and I was so stressed. And then all of a sudden I was walking in and I was like, bro, this is like when you were a kid. That's like, it's like, this is the place.
Yeah.
Why don't you stop being stressed because this other thing's going on and just go do your show.
Go do your thing. Yeah.
Go do your thing that you're so lucky you get to do.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I always tell myself there will be moments where I'm like, oh man, like I don't want to put makeup on or I don't want to, like get on my shit and go. And like the second I step out of my car in the parking garage, I'm like, let's fucking go.
Yes. Yeah. Do you
and it doesn't matter day, night,
Yeah.
bad day, good day. It's like all of a sudden I'm just like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. And it
This is
feels
what
so
we're
good. Would you?
doing.
Yeah. I have that moment like there's a moment when I'm walking to the show and it's different most nights, but usually now it starts as soon as I leave. If I'm on the road at my hotel room,
Yeah.
If I'm at home, as soon as I'm like the front door,
Yeah.
But as soon as I walk that like out of that, I'm like, and it's not like a cocky thing. You're just like, I'm gonna go do the thing. Like sometimes you have to step into it. You're like, this is my clock in.
Yeah.
Like, and I have that. Like
There
you
are
said.
days like that. There
Yeah.
are days where you're kind of like, whew, okay,
Yeah.
round 432
Yeah.
and 75,
Yes.
like.
And then you go and you're like, all right, but there's always has to be a moment where you're enjoying it because it's like, we are very lucky to do it. Some people like, and I'm sure you do the same thing. I even had a buddy that you've played with who goes, man, I always wanted to do stand up. I'm like, you could.
Yeah.
You should totally do it.
There's a lot of musicians that do try to swap over.
And I finally tried because I was like, I'm so tired of people being like, I will one day. And I'll be like, I did a mic, my leg was shaking, and I sung so bad.
Yeah.
I did so bad. I mean, I really tried though.
Yeah.
And afterwards, do you remember when Michael Jordan switched from basketball to baseball
Yes.
in the movie Space Jam?
Yeah.
Because we're kids. Well, I remember that movie. That's how people work because I normally do stand up. They're like, guys, this next guy's a comic. I go, no, I'm singing a song. He goes, why are you doing that, man?
Thanks for your support, Mike.
Yeah, and I went and sang like 2 songs or whatever. And afterwards I went out and everyone's like, Bobby, you missed that key, but that was a great looking sing, dude. It was just like, they were so on my side, even though I knew it wasn't like great. But I was like, but I wish more people did like try it. Cause I think as an artist.
Yeah. Especially in the arts.
Yes.
It's like I started painting.
Good.
I've got.
Are some of these yours?
These are not, but I have some. I'll show you in the other room. But like I've done like a couple of like
That's
markets
cool.
now.
Who did that one of you?
My dad's girlfriend.
That's badass.
She is a stain. Yeah,
she was really trying to win you over. I bet. I'm just kidding. She's like, gee, I did it.
She's like, this one's
I
scary.
learned glass work for you. Remember Catholic stuff?
Yeah. Stained glass?
Yes.
Are you okay?
In a relationship. Oh
Think
my God,
twice
that's
if you're
so funny.
okay. Yeah,
Oh my
no,
God.
I think especially the older we get, it's so important to stay creative, even if you're terrible at it.
Yes.
I just think like
anytime I'm feeling
connecting
bad,
neurons you don't connect every day is always a good thing.
Can I tell you? Because when I drive, I'll always every day I'll like say something into my phone, like it's just or like a part of a joke or whatever.
Can we do a time check?
Oh my God! Yes.
What time is it, Tommy?
It's 1:03. We'll end it right. Yeah.
Oh, it's 1:03.
Yeah. Or we've been doing it. We've been doing it for an hour.
I just don't know what time. It's 4:53. Oh,
we
yeah.
gotta go.
I gotta get ready.
We gotta go. Thank you for doing that. You know me.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
No, because I get fucking freaked out, but I forgot what I was going to, I don't even remember what I was going to say.
We were talking about artistry and how it's important to stay creative, like even if you're bad at it.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Even on the way here, because I always say something on my phone, but I was super inspired. I had like 2 years of really playing guitar and writing songs, and especially during COVID. But on the way here, I was writing lyrics down because I was feeling something. And sometimes, because stand-up can't be like that. You can't be mad at your boss and say you stand up. Like
no,
sometimes you can.
It's personal.
And so it's nice. That's why I wish for like everybody. Like, would you ever try stand-up? That's like the last thing I'll ask you.
Whatever. I would try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I felt like I had something to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad you came on. Do you want to plug anything before we go?
That my name's Tara Lynn Pfister and that I'm putting music out every month until the day I die. So please follow along.
Yes. And that's the name of one of the songs of my favorite band. So that was really cool.
Until the day I die,
we go to Catholic school for you. Thank you so much. All right. Bye, everybody.
See y'all.
Bye.